This is Movies, a podcast about the act of cinema. And with me today, wouldn't you know it, I can't believe he's back yet again, is Hans. Of course it's Hans. Who else would it be?
Favorite guest, number one guest.
Yes, you have the most guest appearances in the history of this program to date. I can't believe it. Who would have thought that?
How's it going?
It's
I,
going, it's going all right.
I'm I just realized that I'm downloading Space Cop for an upcoming show that we're doing, and that might be messing up my internet. So let me fix that.
Yeah, you should probably not do that while
Yep.
you're recording the program
I
here.
mean, I'm buying the DVD right now online, and
They could benefit from that. I wouldn't mind seeing them get a little wealthier. Put out some. You know what? No,
no,
they've crossed
yeah,
the threshold where they're out of ideas.
I've I haven't checked their stuff for a while. Um, I don't remember what review kind of turned me off, and I was like, all right, I
Anything
can
that
start.
Jay says.
No, I usually agree with him, but it was a recent one. I don't remember. It might have been Prey. I made it 10 minutes into Prey, so um, I didn't want to watch that just in case it spoils anything because I thought that we might do an episode on it. Not that I think it has anything that I would really care about if it got spoiled, but
Well, we were going to do a show on Prey with Gold Pony for a little bit anyway, and I don't think the interest is there anymore. I think that Prey moment has passed. I
yeah.
mean, I don't feel like, ooh, this movie sucks. I can't believe people are talking about it like it's a masterpiece. I'm not going to really have that sort of energy that I'm bringing to the show, and I'm not rewatching it. I can't. It's fine that it's like only 90 minutes, but I just have no interest in sitting down and opening up Hulu and putting that on for a second time.
Do you like that? That this light is giving me this kid.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
a hole
you.
in my head? Yeah, very
That's
good.
Devlin 2.0 for the sequel to Mass State Lottery, I
The
think.
prequel.
The
Yeah.
prequel. Oh, so you get repaired is what happens in the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. It's like
Okay.
Jason, but I don't stay retarded, I guess.
Yeah. So the movie we're going to be talking about tonight is an A24 film. A24 has some of the ire of a lot of film nerds. You know, you're either pro A24, and that's usually like Twitter, or you're anti A24, and that's more like 4chan or some corners of Facebook. What is your general stance on A24?
I don't care. I don't really um look at that before deciding to watch something. I feel like it's very hit and miss. Kind of like what Blumhouse was at the beginning,
Hmm.
where it was kind of, okay, cool. So it's a low budget horror, and then it just became low budget crap.
Yeah.
And
What was the what do you think was the breaking point on Blumhouse?
oof, I'm gonna have to look that up because I don't even remember. I'm so disconnected from what they're doing recently that I couldn't even tell you. Let me see.
I think Jason Blum getting a hard on for doing like socially conscious horror is really what is stopping them from producing anything significantly good. Because they did the Purge movies back in like
Mm.
what 2014 or 2015, and that has like a tinge of that to it, where it is. Did my camera freeze for you?
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. All right, we're gonna have to pause that for a moment. We're trying something new here on movies, okay? But why don't you go on about that as you look at the Blumhouse catalog?
Yeah. So Paranormal Activity, that was impressive how much money it made. In retrospect, I don't know how. I feel like that franchise was ruined by how many sequels it had because the concept is interesting. It just feel like they jumped the shark, especially with the last one that happens in like in an Amish house. I don't know if you ended up watching that or not, but it was not very good. Uh, oh, and then what else is there? Insidious, The Purge. It just feels like whenever they have a hit, they have to milk it for everything it has. So then it just ends up becoming something that the original one wasn't, and then it loses everything that made the original one interesting. You can say that about the Perch. You can say that about the Paranormal Activity. You can say that about the what's the Warrens series? You got the Ouija movies. I don't think
What'd you
the
think about those Ouija movies?
I think the one that our friend Flanagan did was all right, but that's the only one I've seen. I don't.
Our friend Flanagan. You know what? I watched the director's cut recently to Doctor Sleep, and that was a critical mistake.
Yeah. Did it not get better with time?
It definitely did not. There's some parts of it that aren't too shabby, where what got cut out of the movie was mostly like child death and gore and things of that sort. A couple of naked, very old women, you know. So it was all good stuff in the director's cut, except the 20 minutes of padding. I think that was in the third act, which was all those terrible Avengers characters.
Oh yeah. Of that what is it, Rose the Hat and her band of misfits. And then all the ghosts that start appearing to punish, I guess, little tourist boy at the end. That was terrible. I'm glad that you didn't like it because I really don't want to have to watch that.
No, we're not
So we
going to
can make
do.
an episode.
Obviously, I've mentioned before, and we did a couple of episodes where we were talking about we're going to read the book and then we're going to do the movie. That will not be the case with
No.
that at all. I can assure you. Seems my camera is not working still. So why don't we just pause this real quick and then we'll pick up in a moment. We'll discuss the movie we're going to get into tonight, which is Funny Pages. How about that? So, as we just left off, you were talking about how you were surprised and impressed that Blumhouse had produced The Rock's Tooth Fairy movie.
Yeah. I'm not very familiar with their humble beginnings, but seems like Paranormal Activity was their biggest hit in the 2000s, and
Yeah,
then they started the 2010s with Tooth Fairy, Paranormal Activity 2, and Insidious. Jay Chandrasekhar's The Baby Makers, starring Olivia Munn.
terrifying. Her acting is always very spooky.
Sinister, Paranormal Activity. Yeah, so as I was saying before, like I feel like maybe they were able to produce interesting movies, but then once they decide to just milk them for sequels that are unnecessary, that's when they lose me. So Paranormal Activity, The Purge,
Forever Purge.
yeah. And they didn't they make a TV show too?
Of course they did. It was on USA, your favorite network. I didn't
Yeah.
mind the Paranormal Activity sequels. I liked the fact that you could show up every October and see one of those movies. And it would usually, but they would always ruin it. It would always
Yeah.
end with like, and then the chubby girl from the first movie was a witch, and here's her sister who's
Yeah.
also chubby.
Hey, isn't that scary? She's here. The girl
That's my
from the
favorite
other
line
one.
from that movie is she's here.
It's just like, isn't it weird that it's back in time, but she looks older and a little chubbier?
Yeah, 4 movies in,
Yeah.
6 years later, she's back and she's older at a younger age.
Did you watch the Amish one?
No.
Yeah.
No,
That's
that wants to be Get Out, and Jason Blum wants
it's
another Get Out, and that ain't happening.
it was terrible.
Are you looking
Um,
forward to Halloween Ends? That's a Blumhouse produced one. That's coming out on Peacock the same day as theaters.
oh, that's not a good sign, is it?
I've Here's what I've heard about Halloween Ends. I heard Halloween Ends is like Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
Okay.
Do you know what that one is?
I don't remember.
That is where a
They kind of just blend
paramedic.
into each other. Yeah.
It opens with a paramedic's son being killed at like a psychiatric facility, and then he becomes Jason, but you don't know it's him in the
Mm,
mask. So you think Jason's going around and he's back. It's right after the final chapter, right, where Corey Feldman cuts him up,
right.
takes him down. So then you have like older Corey Feldman, even though it's not Corey Feldman, it's some teenage boy,
Yeah.
and you think Jason's back, but no, it's actually just a paramedic. Fucking sucked. It was
So
horrible.
they're
Him and like a little Eddie Murphy style black kid survived that movie. The only Friday the 13th where the survivors are two men. And then I believe Tommy Jarvis kills his love interest at the end of the movie, which they just completely retcon for the sequel because he's played by a new actor, and you got to have like a good guy Tommy Jarvis instead of I murdered my girlfriend
right.
Tommy Jarvis.
It's Tommy with one M.
Yeah.
So that's terrible. I don't want that. I think after I got over the fact that the sequel was not serious, I was like, all right, let's see more of this, but not like that. Not like that.
I think we should just review that movie again for this
Again.
Halloween.
Yeah. When is the new one coming out? Is that December or is it October too?
No, that's
October
what
14th.
December. That would be a very big missed opportunity to release around Christmas time. No, I think it's gonna be October yet again.
Yeah, I have it over here. October 14th, 2022.
All this to
Um,
say, people trust A24 as a brand, but they've kind of fallen off and it's become kind of a trope because much like Netflix or any one of these companies that don't really have any creative involvement in what they're doing, their okaying process still filters out a certain type of movie. And so you can start to build an expectation for what you're going to get from A24. And a lot of people have felt that that welcome has been worn out.
uh, it just kind of became the meme, right?
Hmm.
Where it's you expect something, I guess. Well, I don't even know if it's weird. I think it's more like film person type of movie, but then it just kind of becomes a parody of itself. Um, which movie do you think was when they jumped the shark? Because I'm looking at the list here. You got Lighthouse on the Silver Lake, which I thought we were supposed to do an episode on that. Still haven't
We
seen it.
were we're gonna at some point.
Mid 90s, that was pretty good. Uh,
I didn't catch that one.
that's the Jonah Hill,
Hmm.
the skating skaters. Um, I honestly, that tragedy of Macbeth really left
That
a
was off-putting
terrible taste in my mouth. Um, but yeah, I again, I don't really pay attention to the production company. Maybe I should, but before I start watching something, so I wasn't expecting what we got here. I don't know why I thought it would be more American Pie-ish type of comedy, that which
because I said it
don't,
was 90s. It was
yeah,
authentically late 90s.
which doesn't exist anymore. You know, that genre is completely dead. But this felt a lot like a, and I'm going to be butchering his pronunciation, but Daniel Close movie, so like Ghost World
Dude,
or
yeah. That's exactly what I thought when I was watching this. Is that this movie reminds me a whole lot of Ghost World. If Ghost World was not feminine,
right. Yeah,
that's this movie.
Have you seen Art School Confidential?
Mm-mm.
That's also one of his from around that time about a kid that goes to pretty similar, goes to art school and he just hates everything and he's trying to be cool, get it with the crowd, which I guess it's not really what this movie is because he's trying to be accepted by the most obnoxious, what do you even call that type of lip? What is
Cleft
that
lip.
called? Yeah, perfect comic book guy, I guess you can say. Not the most likable, not the most accepted or cool. At the end, I also thought that they might reveal that he's not actually an artist or he's not actually who he's said he was because he was so erratic and so I don't even know what word to use to describe him.
Mentally,
Other,
he's just mentally ill. He's an
yeah,
unstable guy who's able to go off the handle at very minor things, but also they don't make it easy for him because everybody in this movie is so unlikable.
yeah,
The parents are unlikable. That lead character is such a little piece of shit, like
yeah.
in a way that reminds me so much of like other kids who are unnecessarily competitive
Mhm.
around that age. Like I had a friend, for example, where if you like told him something like, "Oh, I got a car this weekend. It's this car," and he'd be like, "Well, yeah, well, I got a Mercedes Benz that I just bought." "Oh, you moved into an apartment?" "Yeah, I got a house that I just put a down payment on."
The
"Oh,
worst,
yeah." So
the worst kind of
uh,
shitty kid.
yeah, you wonder why you're friends with that person, and then eventually that friendship tends to fade out if you're smart. So
Yeah.
he's this kind of guy where you have like a very nerdy, long-haired. Damn, did these kids have fucking acne? Jesus Christ! You know this is kind of mean to say, but I remember during Mass Day Lottery, you looked over at Jake and you were like, you got a massive zit right here that's ready to pop.
Yeah.
And then when they do a close up on one of these kids, and he's got like big time
Well,
whitehead
because
coming out.
Jake Zit was a hazard. I was afraid of it. The you know the what do you call the splat zone? I guess that it was going to create was going to hit me.
It's gonna be like a Nickelodeon game show.
Yeah, just gack all over my face. Another movie that this reminded me of was the Greasy Strangler, because
Ooh.
of how everyone is so gross and
How everyone
sweaty.
looks, how they
Yeah.
just grabbed a Tim and Eric leftover David Lee part. Did I ever
Yeah,
tell you
yeah.
about how I tried to get David Lee part on a podcast from a past life that I might have done? And he was like, "All right, I'll do the show, but you gotta handle everything through my agent." And his agent was like a 17-year-old boy who was just like, "Yeah, I do things for him sometimes. Here's his home phone number and address." I was like,
Was
"Oh,
this
okay."
your interview show that you had?
Yes, when I worked for NPR.
Yeah. What was the show called?
NPR Fresh Air. It's a very popular show now without me. So they got David Lee part in here, and you have a number of these safety, familiar faces, including our pal Buddy Duress, who
Mhm.
I was wondering, did he shoot this before or after he got out of the clink? And it's very clear it was before. So this
Mhm.
has been sitting around for a little bit, since probably about 2019.
Why do you think that is? COVID?
It could be COVID. They might have had to stop filming. I mean, he got locked up in, I want to say, October or November of 2019. So they must have started shooting before then. And for this type of movie, I mean, this was, I mean, clearly the Safdie brothers through Alara Pictures were overseeing this film, Funny Pages. But it's still a very small movie. I can't imagine the
Yeah.
budget is that big. And for, I mean, with small movies in general, it's going to take about 2 years to get out. This is all the vision of Owen Kline, who is the son of Kevin Kline from The Big Chill and In and Out, and Phoebe Cates, who is the hot girl from Fast Times at Ridgemont High and the weeping girl from Gremlins 1 and 2.
Oh, so it's what is it? Nepotism baby?
Maybe
Isn't that what they call 'em?
it could be. I mean, he was working, I believe, as an assistant editor for the Safdies on like documentary projects that they were doing and stuff. So it could be that.
You can really tell the Safdie's influence. I don't know if the original story was supposed to end like this, but that ending felt very chaotic,
Hmm.
felt very them, you know.
Hmm.
Not sure how involved they were in the writing or anything else, but that felt very much like a good time, you know.
Yes, heaven knows what they were
Yeah.
up to in the writing room.
Apparently, this movie got a 3 minute standing ovation at Cannes. Um,
They give those out too willy nilly, as far as I'm concerned. Everything gets a 10-minute standing ovation, a 22
you,
minutes. That which just sounds obnoxious. I would
you
want them
know
to
who
stop.
didn't get a standing ovation? Uh, Only God Forgives. And I only know that because I went to see that premiere at that festival that year, and I
Mhm.
fell asleep because it was at like 6 in the morning. I don't know why they do that, but they show 6, 7, maybe 8 in the morning. I don't remember. I was just very sleepy, and I remember that everyone booed it, and I didn't understand why. It's like, what do you expect
I
from
know
a
it's a masterpiece.
Refn
It's
movie?
unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like the Refn movie where he Ryan Gosling um goes inside of his mom's belly after she gets stabbed or something, right?
Hmm.
And pulls stuff out, and it's just I don't know. I guess it's too highfalutin people that go there and are not expecting to watch a very slow, almost 3 hour movie that's got some martial arts and some violence,
Or maybe they're not highfalutin enough since they
or
weren't
that.
able to tolerate it. I thought after Drive, there was plenty of warnings that hey, this is not Drive. This is nothing
Yeah,
like Drive. But I think still people expected something close to Drive, and it's not close to Drive.
yeah.
It's a beautiful film, but it's very dark and gross and plotting and very slow. It takes a while to get started.
Not enough synth music. That's what happened.
Hmm.
He needed more real human being songs. And instead,
Probably
he got what? Thailand music. I don't
Thailand
even know.
karaoke. That's
Yeah,
a much better
yeah,
soundtrack.
that's true.
I
Is
think
that where
all
you?
the actors just performed the soundtrack itself in real time, like you do.
Is that? Yeah, is that where you got the influence for the scene that you forced me to shoot at gunpoint,
Yeah.
where I'm singing and dancing in my underwear in a karaoke place?
No, I actually did not get it from that. I just got it because I was thinking it would be pretty funny to have Hans sing karaoke. What would be something Hans would never ever do
Yep.
ever?
Hmm.
Karaoke.
One time, the one time I've been to Asia, I went to Japan, and of course, my friends took me to one of those places because you're supposed to go to the karaoke place if you're in Japan. And I don't really listen to a lot of popular music, so I didn't know anything that was in it. And then I found some obscure rock song that I like by like Block Party or something.
Hmm.
No one knew it, and so I just sang for like 30 seconds, and then I was like, let's just change it. We can change it. This let's just change this. And yeah, it's horrible. I hate it. And it took a lot of I don't think I even drank before we shot that. It was one of those. I think we rehearsed at the apartment for about, I don't know, 20 minutes. And then I was just like, I don't want to rehearse this. I'll just wing it and just do it when we get there because this is very awkward.
Which, listen, I'll give you a whole lot of credit because when we were shooting Mass State Lottery originally in March of 2020, you took a while to get like warmed up and get
Yeah.
into acting and be able to go. And then in November, it's just like, Hans, you got to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you're right into it immediately, which, again, such a stark contrast. I was impressed with how you were able to loosen up. So, ooh,
Mm.
Jesus Christ. This is all new, by the way. This is just a trial run. This isn't even a real episode. Um, but yeah, and I'm looking forward to your character, Estefan in Cringe Lord, our second feature film.
Yeah, I got I don't remember who
Carlos
was
Estevez
someone uh posted
Garcia.
shared the trailer and said they were getting very strong Peter Lorre vibes with my character, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, and then because I haven't seen the footage, and then I was like, Jesus, that's what my hair actually looked like when we were recording. It's like that makes a little sense. Yeah, he looked like
I think it looks good. I listen. I
yeah.
think you should wear your hair like that all the time. Have you
I
ever?
should
You know
just
what I started watching recently is this sitcom from the early '90s, 1992 to 1995, called Hearts of Fire, because I just started watching John Ritter TV movies,
wow.
and this is a CBS sitcom with John Ritter with Ed Asner, and who plays the fat oaf on the show? Who plays like the Jim Belushi role? Billy Bob Thornton, and his
What?
hairline is fucking terrible. You should look this up real quick.
Hearts of Fire?
A Fire, Hearts of
Oh,
Fire. Now, I couldn't believe this is where Billy Bob Thornton started. It was, he's fat, first of
oh
all.
wow.
He's got a big gut, and he looks like Homer Simpson. He looks like Homer Simpson on the show. And then you think about that and go, he becomes the Billy Bob Thornton that we have like a cultural imprint of today, where he's got like bangs in every movie. He's like a 60-year-old man with bangs, and he plays the Brad Garrett style character on this show. Yep, there he is. That is him. I posted this to Twitter too. Look at it. His posture's bad. His hairline's bad. The beard kind of works for him.
I mean, as much as I guess, well, this is not. That's not. He lost weight there. There you go.
Yes.
He kind of looks like Scorsese a little bit. Um, why are you watching this?
Listen, I just get into holes. I love
Are
being
you
in
trying to
holes.
find some type of nostalgic 90s hole where you think back as when you were a child and things were simpler?
No, I was looking at older John Ritter movies from the 80s because he has such a interesting career where he's like literally half a TV actor and half a film actor, which is rare for the late 20th century and 20th century probably in general. And he would dip in and out of TV shows and movies, and there's a lot of bad in there. So I watched like not Real American Hero, maybe like Hero for Hire or something, where it's essentially like Super or The Boys, but it's a PG version. And then I was also watching Unforgivable, which is a really bad TV movie about him being a domestic abuser, and
Ritter?
John Ritter plays a wife beater, and he
Wow.
recovers. He fixes himself, and that's the movie. But there was one movie, and the name is escaped. Oh, The Only Way Out, starring John Ritter and Henry Winkler. You should look up the trailer to this right now. And Henry
Okay.
Winkler plays a weird guy who's obsessed with John Ritter's ex-wife and won't leave. and it ends so dark for an ABC TV movie. I couldn't believe the ending of this film.
Uh, the whole movies on YouTube.
Yeah, I probably watched it that way. The only way out.
Let me see if this is a trailer. 'Cause it's only 37 seconds.
Yeah,
But
let's watch it.
he
Goes great with funny
oh
pages, the
oh
topic of
wow,
tonight's
that's
show.
yeah, it looks terrible.
It is terrible.
Billy Bob did that series right before Sling Blade came out.
That's how we got
Very
to know John Ritter. So John Ritter then acts in Sling Blade as a gay man, and there's an interesting story I picked up from the set of Sling Blade, which is when they were designing John Ritter's haircut, which you should pull up an image of that real quick as well.
on the only way out.
No, no, no. Well, let's watch the preview of The Only Way Out
Okay.
first, and I'll get into the John Ritter story for Sling Blade. Ooh, wow, very 90s. Okay.
Tonight on the ABC Sunday Night Movie,
Loud.
John Ritter,
Why are you doing this to us?
Oh,
Henry Winkler,
You listen to me!
like you've never seen them before.
They're acting.
I'll kill you before I let you go.
Now they're caught in an obsessive love triangle.
He's terrorizing our children. Let's have a rational heart-to-heart.
Daddy scares me.
And the father has to save his family, no matter what it takes. John Ritter and Henry Winkler in the dramatic thriller, The Only Way Out.
wow. Well, the whole thing is right there.
Civic TV, Episode 7, Season 3. That is what we're going to be watching whenever we reteam with Jerry. Yeah, that movie was pretty wild because he's divorced. He's got a good relationship with his wife. And then he's like, I just wanted to meet somebody already so she'll get off my ass. God, I'm trying to live my life with my new wife and her kid and have some more kids and just forget about this fucking family I started and didn't want to finish. And then she meets Henry Winkler, who's like a teacher or whatever, and he's just a weird, obsessed guy. And he does not take no for an answer. He borrows giant sums of money. He's like, I have to go to England for a week. Can I borrow 40 grand? And then he'll show up the next day like, I just came back from England. I missed you so much. I'm back from England. Aren't you excited to see me? So he's doing stuff like that. And then he
That's a
beats up John Ritter in front of his kids. And John Ritter's like, okay, okay, I'm sorry.
isn't
And
he like a small
yeah,
man?
he's the Fonz. He's Fonzie from Happy Days. It's pretty natural that he's gonna do your
Right.
wife and beat you up in front of your kids, right? That's what Fonzie would do. Hey,
Yeah, at 70.
no, he's only like
He
60
looks-
there,
He
okay?
looks the same. He's just
But he's
gray
doing
now.
it to John Ritter, who's probably like
Yeah.
a little older than him. So this is how he looks in Sling Blade. Anyway, Henry Winkler dies, and then John Ritter confesses to the murder.
Is that how it ends?
Well, no. Here's how it ends. John Ritter has his boss, who's like a foreman on a job, who offers him. He's like, guys like that only speak one language. Let me take care of it. I know some guys. They'll go over there. They'll handle the whole thing. Just give me 20K and it's over. And John Ritter's like, no, I can't do that. I'm a good man. I'm on 8 simple rules for dating my teenage daughter. And then he gets his ass beat in front of his kids, and he's like, fuck this guy. Kill him. Kill him for me.
Where does he work that he has 20 grand to just throw around in 93?
I think he's like an architect or something. I don't
Oh,
know.
right. One of those, they just mention it, but never, they show him drawing one day or something, and that's it, right?
Yeah, kind of like that. So he then has the dude paid off to be killed, and then he has a change of heart before it happens, and he says, "No, I have to tell the Fonz he's about to die." So he shows up at his house and breaks in. He's like, "Listen, there's some bad guys coming over here, and they're gonna kill you." And this is after like Henry Winkler's beaten up his ex-wife and done all sorts of crazy shit. So now he's breaking and entering into Henry Winkler's home, and Henry Winkler's like, "What are you doing here? What are you talking about? I got to kill you with this knife now."
And that's the
he's about to kill
confrontation
him.
we saw at the end, right?
Yes, and then John
Right.
Ritter kills him, and right when he kills him, 3 guys show up and are like, "We'll take out the body." And then it ends with John Ritter going, "I'd like to confess to a murder," and then hard cuts to credits, cut to black after he does that. I was like,
Does-
wow, nobody
it-
won in this movie.
Does it have that dramatic 90s music for that type of movie?
It certainly does, and apparently we have another webcam issue
Your
here.
camera, you
Yes,
froze
this
in a,
is
did you
very
see,
difficult, Hans.
you see the image? I wish I had taken a screenshot of it. You froze with an soy face, and this is great.
Terrific.
It's gonna be the thumbnail for the episode.
Yeah, maybe. Why don't we? Well, as far as like Sling Blade goes, I'll just tell this story real quick, and then I'll fix the camera.
Okay.
They did not tell him what kind of hairstyle he would get. They said, "Yeah, we're gonna go with like the kind of hairstyle a guy like this would see in GQ and try to give himself." And John Ritter said, "Okay, but I've got a PSA shoot next week, so don't make it too different from my regular hair." And if you want to pull up the image as I'm talking
Yeah.
about this,
They just made him Tom Arnold.
yeah, yes, that's a pretty good comparison to draw. What would you call that? High and tight,
I
military
guess.
hairdo, but done with like
With
scissors.
tight, orange.
Tight and wet. I think that's called. So he does this movie, and he got pretty pissed off naturally. Have you ever seen Sling Blade?
It's been a while. I think it was one of those movies that made me watch in college, but I don't really remember much other than the way Billy Bob spoke, which was
Hmm.
great.
He's so good in this movie, Billy
He,
Bob
he
Thornton.
he's so good always, even in things like what was it, Mr. Woodcock? Wasn't that
Hmm.
him?
Wow,
With
that's a Todd Phillips film.
Stifler, wasn't it? Or was it
John Heater.
oh, was it with John Heater? Because I think he had one with Stifler and then one with Napoleon Dynamite,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, where he pretty much just played, angry father-in-law or whatever. I
What would
guess
you say
it's
is your favorite Billy Bob Thornton role? He's just, I guess I'm on a kick of his movies and stuff because I downloaded both of those Bad Santa films,
oh, okay.
which
That's
I haven't seen the first one in ages. I think I watched a bootleg DVD of it that one of my friends brought over one time, and I never saw the sequel that came out in 2016. A lot was happening that year, certainly not a priority in
yeah.
2016.
Never seen that. I like well, when it first came out, it also has been a while since I've seen it. Oh, School for Scoundrels was what that was called. The one I just meant. Oh no, yeah. School for Scoundrels is the one with uh John Heater. And then that was on 2006, and then in 2007 is Mr. Woodcock with Sean William Scott and Susan Sarandon. That role is my favorite Billy Bob Thornton role. Mr. Woodcock, because of the joke. I think he was very good in Monsters Ball.
Oh, I thought you said
I
Munsters. Rob Zombie's The
was
Munsters, where he plays
he,
Grandpa Munster.
God. Um,
Why don't we just talk about that for 8 minutes so I can clip that and upload that, and
again.
we can make a little imprint on YouTube this month.
Let me see. Oh, he was in Cat Dog. That's cool. Um, Let me see. Princess Mononoke. He was on an episode of Ellen, so maybe that's why. Did you ever watch Ellen? Since you've been on a sitcom kick, do you ever wander into the waters of that Ellen show? I don't even know if you can even reply. He was really good in Blood In, Blood Out, Tombstone. He's got a really great career. Big Bang Theory, classics. Entourage. What's Goliath? Yeah, so right now, Lois wanted to get fancy with his webcam because he wanted everyone to see his pores and his mustache hairs individually, and seems like that's not really working out that great. So for anyone that's seeing the video portion of the episode, it's gonna be mostly my floating head because I'm again wearing a dark shirt and a dark background, so it's just a floating head like The Exorcist, and no Lores for most of it. So if you would like to see the video for this, go to patreon.com/Lores. I think I'm not really sure. I'm really terrible at plugging things. Oh, Fargo! I forgot about Fargo.
He's
He's very good
excellent
in
in
Fargo.
Fargo
Yeah,
season one. Fargo season one is an all-time great Billy
you
Bob
scared
Thornton
me
role.
by the.
I'm sorry about that. I was still trying to figure this out over here. I still say to this day aces to everybody.
All right. Yeah. What was his name? This character's name?
His name is Aces. His name's
Malvo.
Ace.
Did you see The Gray Man?
Yes, I did, and I was unimpressed with it. He's fine in everything though, but he's
Yeah,
not. I mean that movie is a job for hire for everybody involved in that. They're doing a
and it,
sequel and a spinoff apparently.
of course, I just feel like that it's just the same with every Netflix production. I actually recently watched that Jamie Foxx vampire movie, Day Shift. That was fine.
Vampire in Brooklyn. Now there's a
It
movie.
it had some cool action. The story is kind of what you expect, but the action was cool. At least that was entertaining and different. Because apparently the director was a fight choreographer or something, so the action looks cool. But then you get, the story that you expect from those movies, where it's just, hero is very strong and
Have you
there's
even
some
watched anything good like recently?
uh I watched Funny Pages. That was
Oh,
pretty
right.
good.
Yes. Well, I no, I'm legitimately curious to get your thoughts on funny pages once I'm done fixing this technical problem here. I gotta have like a sign that says, you know how they would do it back in the late 20th century, whenever the talk show would abruptly close out, like after Christine Chebik blew her brains out. Whatever they put up right after that, or Bud Dwyer died on live television. I gotta find that
It
display.
just it's just like a little bug or a
We'll
little
be right back.
demon
Yeah.
unplugging something.
I think you're thinking of Gremlins too,
Oh,
with Phoebe Cates, the mother of the director of Funny Pages. There you go.
Ethan Klein. Is that his name? Never mind. I was gonna say, oh, I've seen some good stuff lately. Let me see. Um, Sputnik I saw recently. I saw Year One, which was actually much funnier than I expected. I always put off watching that Jack Black Michael Cera vehicle. But I found myself laughing a lot at how dumb everything was. It was written and directed by the late, I just blanked on his name. Egon from Ghostbusters. Wow, can't believe I forgot his name. Harold Ramis, who's also in it. Um, and that just, I guess because I haven't seen 2000s comedies in a long time, it felt refreshing. The just ridiculous, very stupid humor, very silly, and you just have Jack Black being Jack Black and Michael Cera being Michael Cera, which at the time was just, this is something I was talking to my girlfriend about. Is just there was a lot of Michael Cera's when Michael Cera was doing his Michael Cera thing
Were
until
there
that.
any Michael Cera's other than Eisenberg who actually made a dent in Hollywood?
uh I guess not. I don't know. I can't think of any, but it just felt like there was that character in everything. Maybe that's what I mean. Um, but in this one, because it's from 2009, but I haven't seen any comedy that has that character in it a long time. So it was kind of
You're
like,
talking
oh,
about
it's
Year One.
yeah, Year One,
That was a
Harold Ramis.
tremendous flop. Yeah,
He was.
whenever they tried to delve into any sort of genre, that
Yeah,
whole group of Apatow people, it was always a flop. Like Your Highness was
Your
also
Highness.
like a major flop for Franco and Danny McBride coming off of
Yeah.
Pineapple Express. I haven't watched any of those movies in ages. I kind of wanted to get back into Superbad though.
Hmm. Just to see if it holds up.
Yeah,
I saw the one movie that we're doing an episode on, I think soon, which is The Decision to Leave. That was good. Have you seen it yet?
I have not seen it yet. We
Okay.
do have a show lined up for I think this Thursday where we're going to be covering it, and I look forward to watching that because Park Chan-wook is my favorite director. But I don't know. Where do you? You're not all that well versed on his movies, are you?
No, I've seen a couple. Hold on, let me pull up his list.
Hmm.
I saw the American one he did. Um, Stoker, was it?
Not very good. Yeah, Stoker.
No, that felt like an American was trying to make a Park Chan-wook movie. Didn't really. I don't know. I don't like the English in his movies. I'd rather just read. Uh, I'm a cyborg, but that's okay. That one's cute. Uh, oh, and The Handmaiden. I saw that. That was really good too. But I've been meaning to get into the what is it, Lady Vengeance movies.
That one's great. That's his probably. It's high up there for me anyway with Old Boy. I consider that one of his strongest for sure.
I also got Thirst and Join Security Area because I want to see how he does horror. Um, Thirst is a vampire movie, if I'm not mistaken, and the other one just looked like I don't know if it's zombies, but it's something similar to zombies.
Thirst is definitely a top three pick for me. A lot of people say nowadays that The Handmaiden is his best film. I maybe agree with that. It's his most mature film,
Hmm,
probably.
very age
But
forward.
I think Old Boy, Lady Vengeance, and Thirst are impeccable films.
Well, it's
Maybe we.
difficult to top Old Boy, especially when Spike Lee did what he did, which just makes it look so much better,
Mhm.
you know, comparison to that mess.
Well, I mean, I don't, I like Spike Lee. I don't even really think about that movie though. Why don't we
Right.
get back to funny pages while I still
Yeah.
got 40% of battery here? So were you aware of this movie coming out at all? It had
No.
a very limited marketing campaign, very low key, seemed pretty focused on Instagram, maybe going for that sort of crowd, I guess. I didn't really see any billboards or posters. They still have black phone posters throughout the New York City subway for whatever reason, but that's about the gist of film around here.
How'd you hear about it? Were you going through the Safdie's
No,
IMDb
I was going through
find?
Buddy's IMDb
Oh,
because
okay.
I just reasons we shouldn't talk about on the show. I wanted to see what he was up to lately.
Right.
Um, yeah, and this was his only other 2022 film. It just popped up on his IMDb resume somewhat recently. You know, I mean, I was aware of the film before then, and I was kind of vaguely interested in seeing it, but I checked it out because Buddy was in it, and as we covered before, it's old footage of Buddy from 2019.
Hmm.
So yeah, I was vaguely aware of it because it's a Lara produced, and they've only done a handful of non Safdie projects. I've heard also the word is that they're going to be doing an Adam Sandler movie in January, and it's going to be a sports film. That's going to be their next movie.
Is that just what Adam Sandler's doing now? Just sports movies? I
I
guess he's
guess
always
so.
done them. Because you had the what is it? The Waterboy was a sports movie. Happy Gilmore was a sports movie.
Hmm.
There's a what's the prison one? Uh, Prison football
Oh,
one.
The Longest Yard.
Yeah, that's another sports, I guess. And then he did that basketball one for Netflix that I,
People say that's good, but you know what? They also said Hubie Halloween was good.
yeah. Have we talked about Hubie Halloween?
Should we talk about Hubie Halloween? Should we do that instead of Halloween Ends?
I didn't finish that thing. I think I made it 30 minutes in and I was like, I can't. I'm done. Like I can't take 50-year-old Adam Sandler acting like this. It's that's for him when he's young.
Hmm.
Now it's just kind of well, not even sad because he got a buttload of money to act like that on camera, which good for you, I guess. But I don't
I
know.
just see it and think that's a retarded person.
Yeah,
He's playing a retarded man in this movie.
yeah. Well, that's his whole career, really, right?
Hmm.
Only what Big Daddy is the only one where he plays a mature adult, kind of. Well,
Yeah, kind of.
responsible. Let's say
Yeah.
responsible-ish. Everything else is just kind of touched the
Not
head.
even really. I mean, the conceit of that movie is, can you believe this guy's in charge of a kid, right?
Right.
So, because
That's
Jon
true.
Stewart plays the dad.
Oh, is that true? It's been a while too. I don't
Mhm.
remember Jon Stewart. The only movie that I remember Jon Stewart being in was that Dave Chappelle weed movie
Yeah,
where he
here's a
just
cameo in Half Baked.
half baked, yeah. But The Wedding Singer was also kind of, Little Nicky is the devil's retarded son.
Hmm.
Those Hotel Transylvania movies is retarded Dracula.
Hmm.
You got I don't know what the cobbler is. What is that? Is that the
He's a
shoe
retarded
fixing?
shoemaker. Yeah, it's a Mad Lib. It's just mentally ill 9/11 victim, mentally
Right.
ill. Uh,
Arab haircut
sure,
guy.
he plays the Rob Schneider "You Can Do It" guy in one of Rob
Yeah.
Schneider's movies for him. So yeah, that and
Anyway,
he
so
could have fit into
funny.
this movie with all these characters, all
Yeah.
these friendly faces.
I don't know. He's not gross enough, I don't think.
God, this movie really nailed the I'm an older guy and I'm friends with all the young guys, and it's normal. And then
Right
I'm
from the
naked.
start, too. The first 3 minutes is just a big fat man just like, hey, draw me. And then he just gets naked and just like, "Whoop." what am I watching?
Yeah.
what is
Yeah, the slow
Laura's making me
realization
watch?
occurs with that lead character too, like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
That's what this is. This isn't funny. This is him trying to jerk
yeah.
off and trying to Louis C.K. me or something.
Once he drew his penis, he's like, wait a second, there's something fishy. It's not just a smell. Uh, but yeah, I thought it felt like what you said, like a throwback, small comedy that I don't know if they still make them, but it doesn't feel like they make this type of movie anymore. There's only like a couple that come out, and you're just like, oh, cool. They're still kind of making just very small, very character-based comedies.
Well, we got hit with three different small indie comedies in the same span of time. We got Fourth of July, we've got Sharp Stick, and we've got this movie. And I've watched all
Oh,
three now. I
jeez.
watched Sharp Stick
Uh-huh.
the other night, and I can confirm that's the worst of the
Oh yeah.
three. Um,
I
maybe.
started it.
Mhm.
I started it and I saw that it starts with a vertical video of a lady shaking her ass, and I was like, I'm not in the mood to watch this. I'm all
Mm.
right.
That's the Joss Whedon approach: is you start with a cell phone video, a
Hmm.
cell phone video, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, I was not a fan of it, and I'm obviously very generous toward Lena Dunham's creative work. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was bad, but it's almost it felt like to me she had access to John Bernthal for a certain period of time, and then she was aware of that and rewrote the ending to accommodate that because it's completely without his character or like the plot that we've gotten to know for about 60 minutes. And it's the pretty standard trope of she's a young girl, she gets involved with an older guy who's married and has a kid on the way, and then he's like a pathetic loser.
Is it Lena Dunham that stars?
She's probably like the third main character in that movie.
Okay.
She's his wife.
Okay.
And then he breaks things off when she finds out. And then the remaining 35 minutes of the movie are just like the main girl trying to cross off different sex acts from her list of things to do as a coping mechanism to get over John Bernthal dumping her ass. And I wasn't on board for that. I didn't think that was all that interesting. And I thought the lead girl was fine, but she wasn't. I don't know. I don't think she carried that last third of the movie. So I watched that. That wasn't particularly great as far as I'm concerned. I gave it, I think, like 2.5 stars on Letterbox. And then Fourth of July, I had very low expectations for because we've talked about it probably on this show, at least in like DMs. Um, the color grading on that trailer was horrendous.
Hmm.
It looked like it was straight from the camera, and maybe someone did a quick pass in iMovie or something. They just added a little saturation. It looked very unprofessional as far as I was concerned. And I also don't like Joe List very much. I found him, I mean, in the movie, he's unlikable, but I
Yeah.
found him so unlikable in that film. I mainly enjoyed it. I didn't think it was that bad.
Did you laugh?
Maybe one or two times I did.
Okay. Because that was my biggest problem that I think I also made it like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I'm gonna end up watching it because we might record, and if we don't record an episode, we might at least talk about it briefly because I don't know if we can talk about it for 60 minutes.
We can't even talk about funny pages for 60 minutes. My
Yeah.
camera won't even stay on for 60 minutes. I think we should have done a show where it's 30 minutes on funny pages, 30 minutes on sharp stick, 30 minutes on 4th of July. I think that's now a missed opportunity. Maybe we'll do
Uh,
30 and 30, two mini episodes, kind of like what we did with Don Jolly
yeah.
on the Toho films or whatever we covered,
But
and do that on those two.
my problem with what I saw from 4th of July was that everything looked like a take one.
Hmm.
Like I don't know how much of the dialogue was improvised, but a lot of it felt improvised. The delivery that especially Bobby Kelly I thought was terrible. On the couple of scenes that I saw where it felt very unnatural. It felt very, oh, this is not two people talking, you know?
Well, he's not an actor. That's a problem, and that's something I said to you, which is that um, Louis has a habit of casting friends who
Yeah.
aren't like camera ready, and Robert Kelly is one of these guys. And luckily, he's not in the movie that much. He's only in the beginning. He pops up toward the end, But there's like no part of the movie that is carried on the shoulders of Robert Kelly.
That's good. I have nothing against him at all. I think it's fine, but I just feel like you should probably get actors,
Mm.
or at least do more than one take so that it doesn't feel like they're just improvising a sketch. That whole scene with the whole you're my sponsor thing, I was very uncomfortable, but not for the right reasons.
Hmm.
Not because it was making me cringe what they were saying or anything. It was more because I was like, it's just you have another take for this. This is it just doesn't come out naturally. And
Yeah.
Joe List isn't. I like his stand up. He's like a naturally awkward person. I don't know if you want to put your movie on the shoulders of someone like that. I don't know what happens to the rest of the story, but it just it was very awkward for
Not
the wrong
much.
reasons.
Not
Yeah.
much happens with that story. There's a family argument, and then Nick DiPaolo pantses him or something, and he takes it as a sexual assault and calls out the family. And I don't know. It's fine. It's short and to the point. And you know what I've been noticing a lot lately, and this is the case with Funny Pages as well. A lot of movies are starting to cap it at a very, very reasonable time, which is like an hour and 25, an hour and 30 minutes. That was the case with all three of these movies.
Mm.
And shit like Prey, which is again horrible, didn't outstay its welcome, but really bad. I'm not gonna bother with that one. As far as Funny Pages went, did you find any issues with the movie?
I thought the ending was a little underwhelming.
Hmm.
Um, I it doesn't really give you much. And the the whole acne kid getting, I guess, murdered.
No, he didn't get murdered. He
Uh,
just got one of
He
those.
got like a what, like a
He's gonna get
pencil in his
stitches.
head or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, that whole ending, I don't know. It was the only physical confrontation in the movie, and it was weirdly shot where it didn't look like there was a confrontation, and then all of a sudden there's a pencil in his head and he's
Hmm.
bleeding. It's like, what is happening? And then it just ends with him, I guess, going to a comic book store and I guess realizing that the guy with that lip is not a good guy, even though he's been a piece of shit for the whole movie. Um, I kind of like those character studies where not a lot happens sometimes. And I like the fact that everyone was very unlikable here.
Hmm.
Everyone had like socially awkward issues. I also think it's really funny that Andy Milonakis is still looking 15, even though he's like 65. He's just like gigantic now. That's the only difference between him and him when he was doing that MTV show.
Yeah.
But I took it as that, as like just a small character study about a bunch of unlikable, sweaty people. And for what it is, again in that Daniel Close like world where everything is kind of artsy and weird, kind of Harvey Pekar-ish. It
Hmm.
also felt like that. I like that. I really like that American Slender movie that they made about his life, where it's just say this is the kind of a biography of a gross person.
Yeah.
Same with the what's the pervert little Jewish man that was also an artist that would draw the
Crumb. Yeah, it,
yeah.
it, it had big time R. Crumb vibes to it as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Especially some of those drawings that they got
yeah.
the kids
Well,
to.
well, that's what's his name? Johnny Ryan is the guy that does the art for that. He's known for doing those drawings of people with just their dicks out and shit.
Hmm.
So that was cool too. Right at the beginning, recognize that style. I think his books are all sold out for that same reason because it's like that's his shtick, I guess. But I mean I liked it. It's like you said, it's very short. So it doesn't overstay its welcome, and it doesn't even try to say anything, or I don't think there's any message with it. It's just pretty much, well, this kid put his eggs in the wrong basket, and then they broke, and
Right.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that they don't offer any sort of redemption for any of these characters. They're
Yep.
exactly who you think they are,
Hmm.
and they're not particularly good or likable people, and they don't try to finesse that for the casual audience goer, which is something you don't really get too often these days, especially even with indie films where it's one person having complete creative control. Also, my camera's officially deaded. I
Yes.
think I ran through all the battery. I didn't even bother charging the battery. I was very ill prepared for this, and the fact that we even got any video at all, it's a miracle. So I think we're just gonna wrap up in a
Do you want
second.
to mention the Patreon? Because I might have said the wrong link.
What did you say?
Patreon.com/lowres.
No, that's right.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right.
All
Yeah.
right.
So go to
Yeah. If you
patreon.com/Loris,
want.
sign up in the $5 tier, and you will be able to get all sorts of new episodes of movies if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts right now, because we have reduced the amount that we're releasing per week and recording per week to only one episode as opposed to two. And that allows us a little bit more time to do better research for certain films. Not like this film, Funny Pages, which we talked about John Ritter made for TV movies more than the subject of this show. Maybe we'll do an episode on The Only Way Out, ABC, Monday Night Movie.
Maybe not. That's
I think you'd
okay.
be entertained. I think that's a good Civic TV pick. I'm going to recommend it to Jerry. We'll figure it out.
Oh, but you've seen it though. That's
So
not
what? Now
fun.
I know what to expect. Now I have something to say during the movie, so I can watch it without awe. You know,
Right. Okay.
you and Jerry will be taken away with it. Maybe we'll get Spencer on there.
I think
Oh,
we
you're
should
blurry.
just do
We should just shut off our cameras. You keep coming in, and you're as bad as I am. You got a full on Gaussian blur.
I think for Civic TV, what we should do is just watch War Hunt you know, every time.
Damn, that was this year too.
Is that 2020? No
Yeah,
way. Oh, shit, that was 2022.
and you know
Wait,
what?
no, not War Hunt. What's the one where we're there in fucking Turkey or Saudi Arabia or
Oh,
something?
Night Walk.
Night Walk. That's the one we should just bring new people to watch it with. That should
I
be the
think
new
that's a great
room.
idea. Why don't we do that with Gold Pony since we're trying to figure out a new show with him? Say, hey, you like
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke, right? Who doesn't like Mickey Rourke? We'll do Night Walk.
Yeah. Do you like Sean Stone? This is
Are you a fan of Stone films like the Oliver Stone? Well, we got his son in this movie, and he's quite the talent. He's quite the undiscovered talent.
yeah, he's got the
Even his
same
dad won't
face.
discover him.
Yeah, even his dad won't hire him to do even background work because he has the same face on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Funny Pages. Did you enjoy Funny? Would you recommend Funny Pages?
Yeah, especially in the type of movies that are released now, it feels like an oddity, and it's also very short. It's very, everything happens very quickly. Nothing drags on, and
Mm.
there's some. Ooh, I'm blurry again, and there's some cool art in it too. So, also there's if you're into that, there's also a lot of fat old man nudity if you want to see
There are a
that.
lot of
So
old, fat, 58-year-old dicks in this film. That's right.
yeah, so if you're into that, then definitely go watch Funny Pages.
It is a very gross film.
Yeah.
They accomplish feeling icky pretty well. And they also did something that we do, which is add a light that doesn't make sense to people's faces. Did
Yeah.
you notice that at all? Like
Yeah.
sometimes it'll just be like a red or a green light or a yellow light on someone's face, and you're like, wouldn't that light
Where's
be
that
coming from the
coming
floor?
from? Yeah.
Why is his face lit up? He's just hanging out behind the counter, but the light's coming from up. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it looks theatrical, and
Yeah.
that is movie making. Doesn't have to make sense. All right. Once again, patreon.com/lowres. I quite enjoyed Funny Pages. Gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. I said this over on Twitter and plenty of other places. Feels authentically late 90s without even trying to be. I think it's a great selection. The only problem that I have with it is that the end feels a little anticlimactic, like you're ramping up to something a little bit bigger than what you get. But it is a very small story. It's very self-contained, and I didn't think that was that much of a flaw. It is what it is at the end of the day. It doesn't try to be anything greater than that. And I think all the performances are good, and the cast of characters are fantastic. So check it out if you can get around to that. It's in theaters in New York now, and in Costa Rica too, if I recall correct, since you did see
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah, if you go to the Yiffy Theater,
The
you'll
Yiffy.
be able to find it.
Yi Theater of Costa Rica, San
Yeah.
Jose, Costa Rica. All right,
Yeah.
that has been movies for this week. Sorry about the camera issue, folks. Again, this is a beta test of things to come. All right, thank you for listening.